going on, everybody? Welcome back to SharkNation. It's been a little bit, but we've got a special episode here for you, number 84, with Austin Cheviron, who just came out with his book, The Money Puzzle. Austin, how's it going, my man?
It's been an interesting time the last couple of weeks. I told you guys I had to be an extrovert. Since August 1st, I've been all over the country, it feels like, and now I'm ready just sit into it and enjoy the ride now.
Yeah. So while we're there, so like staying back home from being on the road a lot, I'm curious on this one. Where do you feel you get more done, when you're on the road or when you're back in the studio, doing that stuff?
When I'm in my little cave by myself and just whittling away and getting my vision in alignment and slowing down, that's really where a lot of the progress is made. And then when I go out into the world is when I do a lot of the work. Then I see the ground taken. But until I can get the vision right of where I want to go, I don't know what ground to take. And so a lot of people are like, yeah, I made progress. Well, where are you trying to go? Well, I don't know. Well, then how do you know if you made progress?
100%.
Yeah. So you guys, so Chad, you're down in Florida, right?
Yeah, I'm in Tampa. Yep.
You're
Jason's
in Tampa.
Up, Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. So if you guys wanted to go to some place where it's colder, you would head north, right?
For sure.
And vice versa. But a lot of people don't know what they want, so they don't know which way to go. And yeah.
That's a really good point. And I think something I didn't realize, well, because, I think, probably you're starting in the beginning of just like, how do I survive, right? And then to think of where you're aiming, it's like, wait, what? I just want to pay the mortgage.
Yeah. A lot of people just think, day to day and not big picture. So any advice that you would give for people that kind of have that mentality where they're just kind of scraping by and getting by and, they don't see kind of start with the end in mind, right?
Well, they said without a vision, people perish. It doesn't say without money, people perish. It says without a vision, people perish, right? So now 13 years ago, I was on welfare. So I've lived without, we weren't doing too well 13 years ago. Had my second kid, qualified for welfare. My wife's like, what happened? I'm like, I don't know. I guess we didn't make enough money this year. Well, I still had to get the vision right when I was on welfare, no differently than what I have to today. And so I guess you get the choice, boys. You get the choice on what you want to focus on. It's that simple. And do you want to focus on where you're at today, or do you want to focus on where you're going?
Yep.
And the reality, like this, literally the reason this Mount Hood picture's back here, I climbed this in 2019. It's probably one of the dumbest things I've ever done in my life. Okay, literally, the dumbest. I almost died 3 times.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Now, I'm an Indiana boy. We don't have hills in Indiana, let alone mountains. So being in real estate, you boys will laugh at this. I had a dream one night that I climbed a mountain. This is all, and that's all it took. And I woke up, I told my wife, I was like, I had a dream, I climbed a mountain. She's like, oh, okay. Well, I went into my office that day and I found my buyer's agent. And I'm like, hey, Broden, I need you to find me the 3 tallest mountains that I have the least likely chance of dying in the United States. Because I'm pursuing this thing now. It took like an hour. My wife didn't say no. He found Mount Hood. We scheduled the time. And I told my wife, I'm going to go climb it. She goes, all from that dream? I go, yeah, all from that dream.
It's freaking awesome. So how'd you prep yourself for something like that? And I don't know what it is. I think after you get to a certain age, it's like, I got to do something. And it seems like mountain climbing is like everybody's like go-to anymore. Everybody's like, hey, I got this peak and we went here and we went here and I'm trying to hit every summit. And I'm like, that sounds terrible. I'm like, why would you do that? But
I'm entering that phase. I never had any interest in that. And then all of a sudden now, I want to go hiking and I want so I'm super. Yeah. How did you prep for that?
Here's what's interesting is I found out we all have a need for adventure to some level. That's what it is. It's the going out in the wild and finding myself. My cousin just told me today, he goes, remember when you were in Canada and you were on the rock thinking about life, the 2 things you wanted? Well, when I'm in Canada, I go out to the middle of nowhere and I just think about life and I'm adventuring and I'm going new places and it's scary. Like if I get hurt 2 miles off the path, no one's going to find me out here.
Yeah.
And so with the mountain, what's interesting, and I'm going to answer two things here. The first was, if I had a vision just of climbing up right here where it was hard, and I didn't have a vision of where I was going at the top, I never would have made it. And if I just would have thought, man, this is tough, I don't know if I'm going to do this where I'm at today, you got to have a vision of where you're going. Now, the question, Chad, you asked is, how did you prepare for it? Okay. Indiana, no hills. I went into the gym. I went on those stair climbers. What I always saw the women doing, I went on the stair climber. I put an oxygen restricted mask on before COVID. So everyone thought it was before COVID. I had this mask, and you could breathe out of like 2 straws or 1. And then I would put a backpack on with 40 pounds of weights. And I would just start climbing.
Wow.
I didn't breathe. My legs were giving out on me, and I did that for about 5 months. And I'm like, this is all I'm going to be able to do.
That's awesome. That's great strategy.
Smart.
Yeah, we've been talking kind of offline on, the mountain journey and maybe getting something together to do something like that. But yeah, that's a good way to strategize, especially for you, Chad. There's 0 mountains in Florida, so yeah, you have to do it. Me, at least, there's in Pennsylvania. Yeah, there's a lot of mountains that we could prep with.
Well, it goes back to, why would we even start this? And it goes back to, I found, the sense of adventure. I need to be challenging myself. I need to keep doing something to keep my mind busy, to keep me progressing towards something, and a lot of people laugh. They're like, how did you write a book? Because God bless me with numbers, curse me with letters. It's kind of funny, but kind of not. Putting letters together just isn't my thing. So they're like, how did you write a book? Well, what they didn't realize is why I wrote a book.
Talk to me about that.
So
yeah.
You go back to why. So 13 years ago, I was on welfare. Today, I am far from it. I'm a multimillionaire. I do whatever I want with whoever I want, how I want it. And now I work more on legacy.
Right.
Okay. You guys have kids?
We do.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I didn't want my kids to know dad as the multimillionaire who has all these assets, who speaks on stages. That's not the dad I want them to know. I want them to know the dad who was on welfare, who grinded, who put a vision together, who implemented the vision day by day, who stayed happily married to their mom, who was home every night for dinner at 5 o'clock, who worked through all of this stuff. That's what I wanted them to know. Now, they're never going to listen to me say that because I'm dad.
Yeah.
But I can force them to read a book. And so I had the choice. Because I have freedom now to say, well, what do I want my legacy to look like? What do I want to leave behind? And I really wanted my kids to know how I created this and why, not just what I have. So I took 16 months and I paid, I don't know, $50,000 to $100,000 I'll have in this book, essentially. Now, some people are like, that's a lot of money. Well, it just depends on how much you got and what do you want to do with it. Yeah. And I sold one of my rental houses, took the profits, and started writing the book.
Yeah. That's a powerful reason, obviously, but I feel you on that, because, well, I had a somewhat of a moment like that. I mean, I've had, we all have our journey, right? But like part of mine, I remember sitting on a donut floaty in a pool here in Florida thinking, my kids have no idea how I got here from where we came from. And like you said, when you put that mission behind that vision of why you're doing what you're doing, yeah, like that's how you get real. Like that's how you get real results, right? Because you're solving a gigantic problem inside the 6 inches between their heads, which is how is that not going to work for other people? Where your kids are human beings, just like everybody we work with is a human being. So, wow.
Let me say this, Chad. First, I got my first thing first. I had someone ask me yesterday, well, how many copies have you sold? I go, I don't really care. They're like, what do you mean you don't care? I'm like, I didn't write it for the world. I wrote it for me and my family.
Love that.
Number one. And they're like, okay, stop the BS. How many copies have you sold? I go, well, as of yesterday, like 500. They're like, how do you feel? I go, I really don't have any emotions around it. But I did know when I was writing this, the number 2 person I was writing it for were real estate agents.
Okay.
And here's why. Since I've been 6, my dad's been in real estate. So I'm 41 years old now. 85% of my life's been surrounded by real estate agents. I'm a different breed. Like that alone is a different breed.
Sure.
Make it even worse. When I was 12, my dad was a manager of the largest Coldwell Banker office in the nation. So I've not only been surrounded by real estate agents, I've been surrounded by the top of the top in the country.
Right.
Now I coach and train them, so it's a whole nother world. But where I'm going with this is I've watched tens of thousands of real estate agents, great quality people who do great work, never get out of the business because they don't have money.
Yep. It's one of the biggest reasons why agents don't succeed is one, handling their own personal finances and running it like a business. So what you're doing is fantastic, putting something together that could be a playbook for agents like that, because we have an unpredictable commission-based business. You don't get a regular paycheck every week or every 2 weeks. You don't know what you're getting this month compared to next month, or what, maybe you could fix your expenses, but that monthly income is always changing. So yeah, having something like that is phenomenal.
Yeah. So I knew the number 2 audience, real estate agents. I could speak to them and show them, hey, I was just like you, 20 years licensed. I was probably worse. I was on welfare. Most of them aren't on welfare. I was a little worse than you. I created a vision, and then I created all these systems to help me achieve that vision. And here's exactly what I did and how I did it. Started with my kids, and then it can go to the masses. And so I had that in mind as I was doing this, is how do I help? How do I give back? How is that part of my legacy now that I get to work on?
Yeah, let's start with the beginning on that. I'm like a process guy, and I'm around your age as well. And the idea of writing a book and climbing mountains and stuff is in the back of my head. What's that process look like from even starting? Where do you start with when you do want to write a book? How'd you start? How'd you plan all that? How'd you even get from A to being published?
Well, before even A happens, it starts with a vision once again. So I'll burn that word out today. Without a vision, people perish. So you got to have a vision of why. Why would I do this? What would this do for me if I did it? And then I have a filter I run everything in my life through. If it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. It's really simple. Do you want to go hang out with Jason and Chad? Hell yeah, I want to go hang out with Julie. Call them up. I'm going to go hang out with these guys. I've been watching them. I like these guys. This is a hell yes for me. And if it's not a hell yes, then the answer is hell no. It's that simple. There's no other negotiation. If it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no.
I like that a lot.
Gotta have boundaries.
It sorts through the fluff real fast.
Those no half measures. I mean, I know I've experienced that. And it was actually a topic on our team huddle either today or yesterday, was the dipping the toe in and the half measure. Actually, it was a conversation like 3 times in the last week now that I say it, was that's really, really good, because it cuts out the BS in the middle.
So the question becomes well, what would be a hell yes? And the only thing that makes it a hell yes is things that align to where I want to go and who I want to be. That's it. If it's not, then it's not it might be a yes, Jason, but it's not going to ever be a hell yes. So go back to the book. Okay, how did this become a hell yes? Because I'm not a writer. No way. I'm not a writer. I'm not a letters guy. I'm not a reader. So how does the book become a hell yes? 1, for my kids. 2, for the world, for legacy. 3, as an investor. This is called an asset. This is an asset. It's just like a rental house for me, but it doesn't have taxes and maintenance. It doesn't have those things. So I diversified and got another asset. I think for some of us that have actually gone past, like I'm in where the 1% of the world is now. Most of the world doesn't get to this point. And I'm not saying that in any way that's heightening me up. Like I made it, and I now have an obligation to go back and show the world, here's how I went there. Here's how. And so with all of those things, guys, it became a hell yes. And I'm like, dang it, I got to write a book. And then you want to get a little worse. I'm down in, I took a trip down to Puerto Rico to go hang out with a friend of mine, Jarek Robbins.
Yeah.
So a lot of people know Tony, his father. So I went down to hang out in Puerto Rico with him this year, which was the worst trip to get there I've ever had in my life. Like literally, I literally cried when I got to my hotel room that night. I'm supposed to be here, but this is the worst trip to Puerto Rico I could have ever had in my life. Like literally, I cried when I got there, and I don't cry about anything. But I went there and I just needed to ask him one question: is should I do the audiobook?
I'm very curious.
My wife's like, can't you ask him that over the phone when you talk to him? I go, no. I got to ask him in person. This is a deep question. This is part of my legacy. If it's my words coming out or if it's somebody else's. And I don't like letters, boys. I don't like letters. So thinking of confining myself for 3 days in Seattle, 1 day there, 1 day back, and 3 days in a booth, my answer to that is hell no. That's a no. How does it become a hell yes? Is because I have mentors and guides next to me to speak into things that help me understand, why should this be a hell yes? Why should the world hear your voice? Why should you do this? And so I surround myself with other people to help get things in alignment, because I don't know. I'm not the smart guy. But I got other people around me that help pour into my head to make the right decisions.
It's crucial.
So we did the audiobook too, another asset. I now have 2 assets that can live on past me, and then also that can help me live today.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah, kind of crazy stuff when you break it down.
Well, it's really, and it's that be, do, have, you know. I mean, that's why the vision is so important. If you don't have that, you're not going to become the person, like, you know, like you said, you don't want to write a book or do an audio book. Like, I don't want to, like, by default, like, jump on social media and put my video and do, you know, this. But if you understand where you want to go, and that's the person you have to become to get those results. I mean, we hear this all the time, but that's what's so important about you telling this story, even just on this podcast today, is just, you know, showing people examples of what that looks like, you know, firsthand. Somebody's walking the talk and they're not just words. So like that, yeah, it's really, really good. So where do you think, when it comes to like somebody hearing this today, right, and they're hearing, oh, okay, I need to just get in tune with where the hell I'm going. Okay, I got that message. What do you think is the best way for them to start?
It's actually all of my programs I ever write, everything always starts with vision and goals. They just do Fast Cap that we started yesterday. We had about 900 people on. Starts with vision and goals, period. Because without that, the work's too hard. And so the best way that I found for me, and then from my clients that I work with, normally when we start thinking about goals and vision, I think of vision as the 50,000 foot view of my life, and goals are like the 10,000 foot steps that I take to get to my vision. Mm-hmm. The best thing that I found is to get away from the world, silence the mechanism, get out into nature, get out wherever, and then just think to yourself. And I like to do it in 90-minute sections. I normally train on 3 90-minute intervals with yourself, by yourself. Put your phone away, just be with yourself, think about life. What do I want? And after normally 3 90-minute sessions, you get very clear. And people normally think about this in 2 different ways. It depends on how you're wired. Either you're best to write in paragraph form, because that's how your brain works, or you're best to write in bullet points. So bullet point, I want this, 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 and this. And that's normally more of the direct people. If I did a disc profile, could be the DCs. And then the S and the I's, the more of the feeling side, they like to write things out, and they think about things in paragraphs and words and feelings. But either way, however you do it, if you even write in a paragraph form, you'll always find the bullets within it still. Mm-hmm. And so 3 90-minute times by yourself in nature is the best way I found to figure out, who do you want to be when you grow up and why?
Oh, so good. And like you said, in a world where there's a million different distractions and social media and your phone fucking buzzing and beeping all over the place, people aren't comfortable being alone with themselves. People like those distractions. People want to be told what to do and kind of like, okay, we'll just lead. Yeah, whatever you want me to do, I'll do it. But nobody really takes that time for self-development, self-improvement, self-awareness. So having that kind of 90 minutes, I like to do that too. I'll take the dog for a walk around the lake, and we do our thing, and maybe I'll get some calls done or whatever. But just being out in nature and being able to think, and then it's like being alone with yourself, that scares a lot of people.
Yeah, it does. And I mean, a lot of it's avoidance tools to grow. I mean, that's what it is. Like you're seeing you're
avoidance or facing the reality, right?
Well, that's what they need to do, right? But they're taking that avoidance, whatever's in front of them that like conveniently shows up. It's like again, I'm going back to my team huddle this morning, but the topic was, what's your avoidance tool with the work you got to do to get where you want to go? Is it, well, my pick up my kids, or, well, I can't do that today because my back hurts, whatever. Or, I got this or that, and it's just your squid ink coming out like an octopus, right? But where I do really want to go here is I want to tie this back into money, especially called the money puzzle. I'm not of this school of thought, but money is the root of all evil. Oh, it's not just about money. How does I like this, but I want to see your take on this. How does money tie into the vision? Why is money important? How do you marry this?
Yeah. So I'll go on a little journey here with this. So when I walk in the woods, what I normally do is I talk to myself. I just talk out loud to myself. And what I do is I do an audit on the 5 areas in which I look at life. And it's in this order. So this is answering your question, Chad. Sure. I'll start with my spiritual life. I think it's the most important thing is my spiritual life. And I'll say, where am I at? What am I doing? Where do I want to be? What's my gap? What needs to happen? Done. Next, I go into my personal life. Number 2 importance in me. So, okay, how's my health? How's my body? How's my mind? Where am I at? Where do I need to go? What's my gap? 3, I go into my family. Where's my family? Where do I need to invest more time? Where am I being present? Where do we want to go? What are the things I want to do? What is my gap? 4, business. That's where most people start. But I go there 4th, business. Where am I at? Where do I want to go? What's my gap? And 5th, the least important of them all, money. How much money do I have? How much money do I want to have? What are my assets and debts? And what do I need to do to shorten that gap? So money is the least important out of all the things, but normally before we die cause the biggest issues in our life. Now, when I say before we die, because normally at the end, our health is the biggest issue. And so that then takes over. But I always told people money is the least important, but if you don't get it wrong, it can cause a big black cloud over everything in your life. So let's get it right so it can stay over there, so I can get my business right, so I can get my family right, so I can get myself right and get my relationship with whatever you believe in this world. And so that's why it's important. Now, Chad, you made a comment, money is the root of all evil. So what that really is, it's chapter 3 of the book, which is awareness. So it's actually chapter 2 is vision, of course. Chapter 1's an overview, but chapter 2 is vision. Chapter 3 is awareness. And I help people go back into their childhood and young adult age to figure out, like, what were you taught or what did you learn about money and how does it show up today? And do you even realize it? So I have a client who said that exact same thing you said. She goes, I was taught that money is evil. She started to cry. And I go, why are you crying? She goes, because I didn't realize until I talked to you that that's what I'm teaching my daughter and I don't even want to. But she goes, that's what I was taught back then. So then that's what she's being taught. And that's not what I want for my life.
Really good.
Or I'll give you another example. When I was 17, my mother died in a tragic airplane accident right before 9/11. And after my mother passed, we were looking for the insurance money. Well, it was in her best friend's name. Okay. And that money was to pay to bury my mother. Long story short, a year later, when the check got cashed, it was supposed to pay back to bury my mother. And my mother's best friend, who was like a second mother to me, said, when we said, hey, we see you got the money and you cashed it, can we get it to go pay for my mother's expenses? She said, what check? So at my lowest of lows in my life, I was stolen from people closest to me. And this was at 18. I didn't realize that takes effect today, still in today. Like, Chad, if you owe me money, you're going to pay me my money. Like, the whole reason when I started my real estate team that I made a TC company was because I needed someone to track the money, because I don't do well when you owe me money.
Right.
I have a bad relationship with people owing me money because I was stolen from. But if I don't know that, but Jason, this is what I'm projecting to you. You're like, something's wrong with this guy. I don't want to work with him. Yeah. He's always worried about the money. Why? Well, it's because when I was 18, it was scarred in my brain, and I was scarred, and I'm still scarred today. But at least I can tell you that, hey, I pay my bills the minute I get them, because I never want to be that person. I don't expect you to pay them when you get them, but I do expect when I bill you that you pay me relatively quickly.
Oh, yeah. And it's funny that you say that. I have conversations where I have the same thing. I don't like to owe anybody any money. I like to pay them back immediately. But sometimes when you loan money and they don't repay, it's probably the cheapest way to get out of a relationship that would have burned you a lot quicker. I always say you're kind of paying to get rid of them, out of your life.
Now, Jason, if Chad was on my team and Chad's like, well, Austin, I grew up paying people in 90 days. But Chad doesn't tell me that, and I don't tell Chad that I was burned when I was a kid. Next thing you know, we got this issue. And then Chad's like, well, I pay people in 90 days. Why? Because I grew up, we never had any money. So we always just paid it late, and my mom and dad just dealt with it, and that was their life, and that's what I learned. And we didn't pay the bills until they stacked this high. But yet me and Chad don't have that conversation. And now what do you think our conflict is in the world? It's extremely high, just because we're not aware of our backgrounds and how that affects us today. Let alone I'm not aware of myself, let alone Chad's not aware of himself. And now we're trying to communicate and it just doesn't work. There's the problem.
Yeah. Super, super powerful. Like you said, money is not the root of all evil, but money will shine a light on some of the other issues that you have in your life, right? So say if you have a problem with your health and fitness, but you're working 2 jobs to kind of meet your budget needs. But your health will take the side step because you don't have that time in your schedule to focus on your health and fitness because you're working all the time to pay for stuff. And so being in alignment with money is a good thing because it frees you up. It creates that freedom to pursue other things, to do what you need to do and focus on different areas of your life. So that's super crucial.
Yeah, I've used money this year to buy me time to figure out who I wanted to be when I grew up. It might sound weird to say, but like I'm at 41 right now, and everything we've done. I was a top agent. I ran a top team. Now I coach, train, and all. They're like, who am I? What do I want to do? And why do I want to do it? What does my life need to look like for me to be like in complete, authentic form of myself? And not because I need money or I want to be this, but like what is it that I'm here to do and why? And let me tell you, that stuff takes time to figure out. And I needed to fund that time. I always say your vision needs time and it needs money. It needs both. It needs funded. You need to be able to invest into your vision and to sit down with yourself. I took 2 months off of work to write this book to start with. 2 months, just writing everything I knew. And if I was dying of money, I would have been thinking, you got to make money today, Austin. You got to go make money. You got to make money. And the book would have never come because it would have always taken second, third place. Yeah. So I was able to sell a couple of my rental properties and put enough money in my account that public enemy number one, my brain of thinking I need to make money. I put that aside and said, just go do your legacy work now. Stay calm. You got 60 days. Just go do your work. All your bills are paid. Your employees are paid. Just go do your work now. But if I needed the money, guys, guess what? Just like all of us, I couldn't have done deep work. Yeah. So your vision will need funded. And that's
too much distractions, like you said. If you're not able to focus on something like that with that big of a time commitment and you're distracted by, like you said, having to go to work and then come back and then restart again, start, stop. Not taking that time out is super crucial. But being financially free enough to do so is, like you said, it freed you up to do that. And it seems like everything that you're talking about, you're talking about your life's mission. It seems like you like to give back. Here's something for the future. I coach because I want to give back and help. I wrote this book to give back and help. So I mean, like you said, your actions determine what your values are, and that you can see right from what you're doing is that's a core value for you, giving back and helping others.
Thank you.
Yeah. So when you're coaching, whether it's leaders or agents or watching leaders coach agents, like where do you see the biggest shift has to go from getting from I've got to pay the bills to getting to this is why I'm living? Like where's the biggest shift they gotta take?
Good question. So along a high achievers journey. So I have different plans and paths that I work with people. When I go on the one-on-one level, these are high achievers. Okay. These are people that have gone past the I'm successful stage. Because at first, like in whoever's listening, if you're in the beginning stage, you just want to be successful, right? And there's a path and a journey and training and coaching and guiding just for that. That's normally where I go into my group settings. In my one-on-one settings, these are people who are like, okay, I got to what I thought was success. I made $1 million this year. I sold my company for X, Y, or Z. Okay, I've done that, but I'm still not fulfilled with where I'm at. Like I thought I would be there and I'm not there. Normally when I pick up those people, what we work on the most is their life and their financials. Because even though they've made $1 million, they don't have any. They don't have it. And it's like, I did it, Austin. I thought when I made $1 million a year or 2 million, I got clients making far more than that. They're like, I thought I would be here financially, and they're not. And the reason why is because their spending went up in proportion with their income. And they, even though we know that happens, we can't watch it daily. Like it just, I'll believe it or not, it's like, they look back on their life over the year like, well, yeah, I guess I did spend $70,000 on stuff that I just, like, you remember the yacht you rented and we were all on it? Like, it was cool, but that was $100,000. And you couldn't get it for a day. You had to rent it for the week, and you had to get the 150 footer. You couldn't have got the 90 footer. Like, what? How did we get here? Yeah. So a lot of the high achievers, when I pick them up, it's normally get my life back in balance. That's what they seek out. Get my life back. Like my life went crazy to build my business and I got this, but I didn't get what's most important, which is my life. Or now that I've got the money coming in, help me be able to keep it and get it going where it needs to go. Mm. And the title of, it's really interesting. The subtitle of this book I refer to a lot. And I'm going to see if we can't get it up there. Can you read what it says? Yeah. It says what, Chad?
A family's guide to putting the financial pieces in place.
The reason it's a family's guide, I've been married for 18 years. It's really tough to deal with financials with your significant other.
It is.
I mean, almost impossible. Paula Abdul wrote a song that said opposites attract. What she didn't say is opposites will drive you crazy. You won't understand them. You won't get it. Like, yeah,
I understand.
It's great, but on the other side, like my wife looks at money as a tool to make her happy today. Nothing wrong with that answer. I look at money as a tool to make me happy tomorrow. And once tomorrow comes, it's not that day, it's the next day after that again. And so what I realize is we look at money completely different. And my way means I'm not living life to the fullest today. And her way means she's never setting something back for tomorrow. And so what I've learned is that we are completely opposites, and the best of both worlds is living today and having something for tomorrow. It's the best of both. Hmm. And how do we get that? Going back to awareness though, like I never realized that's how I was wired. She didn't realize that's how she was wired, but yet we were communicating like this, and it doesn't work well. So everything in the book is the family's guide to say, hey, license for 20 years, welfare to multimillionaire, and still happily married. Like those feats all within itself.
That's a big one that's not stressed enough. I've you know, we all follow people and watch a lot of people, but like that's one that, you know, I'm with my high school sweetheart, my wife and I, you know, and you go through the bumps and bruises, but like what's important is demonstrating going through it and holding that together, because it's amazing what happens when you do. And that's like, there's a lot of successful people that don't also have that. It's not necessarily required, you know, but like if you, what I view it as is if you have that family piece held together while you've gone through that stuff, it creates another level of love, whether it's just with your spouse or your kids or all the above. That is just, you just can't know what that's like until you've grown like that. It's amazing. So I'm loving that. That's a very, very, very big part of this. And I love that you put that as the subtitle.
There's a lot there. One thing I do with spouses when I coach them together, which is really interesting, like I'm a marriage counselor for some people. I create what's called a safe word. And we have a safe word that we use when we go backwards into the damage that's been done, because my job's to fix the damage and to get the vision and alignment. So, but a lot of times there's damage, like, hey, you spent all the money, or hey, you opened up these credit cards, or hey, you got us into whatever it was. We create a safe word to let us know, hey, let's not go back into the damage and have the argument. Let's keep the vision forward. And we use a safe word to stop that moment when it happens and then move it forward.
Oh, so just to give you, I know where you're going with this deep work, right? So just to give people awareness with this, a situation that you might be talking about is we grew up poor. And when we went to school, we saw the rich family that came in on the Tahoe, right? And they had the biggest, nicest truck, and they had the biggest, fanciest things, and they had the nicest house. So then when you do start getting success and you do start having money, you're using money as a status thing. It's not that you want the car, you want that status of having the nicest car and the nicest house and all that. And it's because of your roots that you grew up in, and you want that for yourself now, right? So it's not a money thing. Sometimes it's a status thing. And having that awareness of, well, do you really need that? Like Dave Ramsey is always talking, sometimes you got to amputate the Tahoe, right? You know, and then going back and saying, okay, is it something that we need or something that we want? Do I actually need this, or is it because I want that status? And a lot of people won't go deep on that piece of the puzzle.
So one thing I've said a lot recently is money is the perfect accountability tool. It's like, are you outside of your personal development? Well, money's going to show you, because you're wanting things that aren't really, you know, who you are and all those things, right? So like what money has done for over years, I feel like it's a scoreboard, you know, that can show you what you're maybe reaching for before you should. You know, and so I think, you know, accountability is everything, but I think money is a lot of that for people, and that's what it does. But yeah, it does tie back into the childhood. It ties back into that stuff, and I think I don't even know where I'm going with that. I just know that, like, I think it's super important to look at, you know. So why money puzzle?
Money puzzle.
Why does that tie into like I hear all, so I love the concepts. I love all this stuff. I love everything. I hear a lot of personal development and stuff. So why is the money puzzle the feature item versus, like, you know, get real with your why, not, you know, just
yeah, well,
as an example.
Look, in the reason why. So when I spent 60 days by myself and I wrote everything I knew about money. Okay, that's where I started. I did a 30-day brain dump. After 30 days, I called my cousin, who was my business partner, Nate Cheviron at the time. And I'm like, hey, I got 30 days in. He's like, yeah, we kind of need you back here at the office. And I'm like, well, I got a problem. He's like, what's that? I go, I didn't write anything about making money. He goes, well, why is that a problem? I go, you think I'm going to go train the world on money and I'm not going to talk about making it? Like, how is that going to resonate with the world? Because the world thinks when I have money, it's because I made it all. Right. And really, it's about everything I wrote was about how to care for it and how to think about it and how to create systems and processes and have it available and all the other things. Making it's only a fuel for the car. If you think about a car and a destination, what needs fuel to get there? Yeah, but if I just had a can of gasoline, which is the income, that's not going to get me anywhere. I got to have the vehicle, and the vehicle has tires, it has window, it has all these things. Well, after 30 days, I called him up and I'm like, he's like, just keep writing, dude. If that's your journey, write, because whatever you did's working. And so then I put it all together over the next 30 days. And what we came up with was called the Cheviron Pyramid of Wealth. It was the 22 different components of my life and my business and how I put them together. And the reason the money puzzle comes in is because each one of these pieces are an independent piece that without doesn't make the vision that you want. You got to have these pieces. And so that's how the money puzzle came about. And it's really broken into 3 sections. We have personal finances, which is the foundation. Then on top of that, we have business. And then what holds it all together is what I call generational. It's my generational section. And that's getting into like when COVID hits, how are you not going to go under? When 2009 hits, how do you not go under? And then the last 2 chapters are inheritance and giving. So that's how it ends. That's where the money puzzle ends. And it's like, how do you give what you have back when you pass? How do you give to the world the way you want it to? And I tell stories about when I would sell houses, I'd get calls from widows saying, you know, my husband died and he had these 5 rental properties and I don't want them, just get rid of them. And I was doing a buy one, get one free. Like, because she didn't want them.
Wow.
And the husband's probably rolling over in his grave thinking, I worked my butt off to have these and now you just give them away? She didn't want them. Here's why. He never taught her how to inherit what he was building. So now I had, start of this year, I had about 50 single family rental properties.
Wow.
It's one of the pieces that allow me to do whatever I want. And so, what I realized as I was writing this is that I have to teach my wife the purpose of these. Why do I have 50 single family properties and not 20 multifamilies? It's because each one of these are a small insurance policy that if I need something, I can sell one tomorrow and boom, it's gone. I got 50 grand, 100 grand, whatever it is. Where if I had a $2 million complex, I got to look for the investor out of Chicago who's flying in 6 months. And I'm like, that's just not it. So I was telling my wife, here's who manages these. Here's the addresses of all of them. Here's how much we paid. Here's what they bring in. Here's the purpose of each one. Here's how I see this aligning with our vision. Here's, you know what? If we want to spend 50 grand and we want to write a book, we can sell one property. Here's how we'll decide which one to sell. And so I needed to teach her how to inherit these if something happened to me. Very, very important in life. And being through when I was 17, I buried my mother. I went through all of her stuff. I went through all this. Like I had no lessons on how to go through someone's inheritance. I had the mess. And we're like, whoever wants it, just come get it. Well, there's a better way to do it if you're proactive and you're thinking about it. Right? Like my mother passed at 17. I now have knowledge and responsibility how to help your kids out right now. And I take that seriously. My father's been a real estate agent since I've been 6. I've been surrounded by 10,000, 50,000 real estate agents. I got out alive. I succeeded. I passed the test. That's what I have a job now to help other people to look at it and say, here's what you do. And here's how you sell more. And then here's how you take care of your money. So one day you can get out. You don't have to be 85 years old saying, how do I get in the hologram lockbox? Yeah. How did he get to this point?
Yeah, with the nameplate on. The inside joke for real estate agents is you never see a retirement party for one, right? So you have to manage your money well. As like you said, with an unpredictable income, how do we do that? And how do we invest for the future and not spend it? Because that, like you said, that's a problem that agents have. You know, they get this giant commission check and then they blow it all at once and not kind of thinking long term. What would be your message for an agent like that? Like how would you delegate or budget your money, or any tips that you could share for that?
Yeah, I actually have a whole chapter in the book. Chapter 13 is called My Wealth Machine. It's what I created based off my mentors, Brian Buffini, Tony Robbins, Darren Hardy, all these men that helped guide me along the way. I created personally something called My Wealth Machine, and it's a system and a process. That way, when a commission check comes in, no matter if it's every day, every week, or once a month, and if it's 100,000 or $1, it has the same process because I've made a decision on what the vision is for my life and where the money needs to go. Mm-hmm. And so I literally show and break down exactly how to create your own wealth machine. What's the purpose of it? And the wealth machine is really 6 components. It's a deposit account, which is, it will take me a little longer to explain all these things, but it's a deposit account. It's a tax account, an investment account, a giving account, a business operations, and a personal operations. So those are the accounts that need to get funded in a certain way to ensure that you're living the life that you truly desire. Because if you don't have a system and process, what will happen is you'll spend all your money. Guaranteed. I've yet to meet many human beings that don't spend all their money. Like, it's less than 1%. And normally they're from a different far off nation in another country, okay, that grew up on pennies and now they have dollars and they're just used to spending pennies. That's not us, by the way.
Americans love to spend shit as much money as they can on stuff they don't need to impress people they don't like, right?
Yeah. So if someone finishes the book, what's the number one thing you want them to take away with it, from it? If there was only one thing.
I'm going to put an and in here just because, and I'll share with you why. It's financial stewardship and literacy. It's financial stewardship, which means what you're given, you're supposed to take care of. There's a reason and I don't want to call it a law, but you're given something and you have an obligation to take care of it a certain way. It's called stewardship. And then I use the word literacy because I do. I'm doing work with Leo Pereira's foundation, and they train, him and his wife train in the financial world, and I've come in to help with them. And they like to use the word literacy, which is just teaching, the teaching side. So 1 is teaching, and then 2 is stewardship. So most of us don't know how to handle money. Great example. Last year I spoke at a conference. They had probably 70 different sessions about money and how to make money. And when I ran into the CEO of the company, I said, "Hey, how many sessions did you have teaching people how to keep the money they make?" And the answer was 0. So there's all these sessions on teaching people how to make money, and yet not one teaches people how to keep it. Like, do we see a problem here? So literacy, teach them the way, and then stewardship, which is be that person. Like, I have an obligation to give away 10% of everything I make. I have an obligation. I literally have an account today with thousands of dollars in it that I'm supposed to give away. And I feel guilty that I have thousands of dollars that's supposed to go to the homeless, poor, charities, and everything. Wow. Imagine that for your life. I feel guilty today that I have a lot of money that I'm looking to give to people, and it's sitting in my account, and I'm not supposed to have it. Imagine if you could get your life that way, and you could think about money that way, and you could treat it that way. What I've learned is when you treat it right, you're going to be given more. And when you don't, it's going to be taken from you and given to people like me.
That's
awesome.
That's what I want them to learn and to become and to live.
I love that. So if somebody wants to connect with you, buy the book, where do we send them? Where do they go?
My website's the best way, austinchevron.com, and Chevron's got an I in it. I always say God gave me an I to make sure I have to work, which is kind of tough when you try to trademark things because the behemoth Chevron gas pretty much controls all Chevron.
Right.
It was kind of tough working with my trademark attorney on this. But he's like, "Yeah, you're not going to win that one, Austin."
Yeah.
So my website's got everything that I do. It's got the book. The book's on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Target's website. It's all over the place. But my website's there to see what I do, who I am, and you can connect with me through the website.
Yeah. What if anybody wants to coach with you, or agent that needs to get coached, or team leader that wants to get coached? Where is same site?
Yep, same website. I've broken it all down in time. As I got clear on who I wanted to be when I grew up, I was able to figure out what type of people do I want to help when I grow up, and what does that truly look like, and then what people can't I help. And I'm just, that's somebody else's job. And so my website clearly then breaks down who I'm looking to help, and then how I can help them, and what services I have. Being a real estate agent for 20 years, my phone number was out there to the whole world. But then once you start coaching and training tens of thousands of people, it's like, oh, I don't.
Gotta hide that.
You got to watch that a little bit. Like, your phone never stops now. So yeah. So thank you, boys, for asking.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming on here. I think that I've found that just like things show up at the right time, and there was a lot of impactful things for me here today. So if it was valuable for me, I hope that was valuable for others. I think it's really, really great that the messages you have, the family is important. The having the vision changed a lot for me. I wouldn't say I'm anywhere near arrived, but one of the biggest unlocks for me was getting very, very clear on why I'm doing what I'm doing while I'm here, instead of just doing it to take that vacation or do that thing or pay for whatever Amazon's got on the thing today.
or the worst, guys, is because somebody said you should do it.
Yeah.
But then I always say, well, did they ask you what your vision was before they gave you advice? And did you take your vision into consideration before you said yes, or did you just write the check and now you're doing it and it's not, you're heading south when you really want to go skiing?
Should be told to a lot of people that, and myself included, before they start a real estate team.
Yeah.
Why do you want to start a team?
Yeah, for sure. My biggest takeaway, and this hit home, was the inheritance part. I have so many different businesses and so many different rental properties and all kinds of stuff going on. My wife has no idea, and I don't want to just something happens to me and I just dump it on her. I mean, now I feel like a big jerk. I have some stuff all broken out for, like, here's what you need to know. But I mean, we're always buying stuff. We're always doing different investment properties and things like that. And she would have no clue which properties we own and which we don't, and what to do with them. I think that's the most important thing. If anything happens to me, what's the plan with them?
Well, Jason, in the book, I help lay all that out to the very end when we get to inheritance, to say, hey, you now have all this in place. Now you just got to document it in a will and a trust. You've done all the work. I've done it with you. Yep. And we have it all sitting there. We've done the work, and now we know why. Yep. So remember, literacy, I now understand, and now stewardship, which is now I do, and I'm taken care of. Those are the two main pieces.
Beautiful.
So you got it now. So next time I check in with you, or if I run into your wife, we now know what all these answers are going to be, right?
Or she might get rid of me when she finds out how much, what's all there. Toast.
Safe word, Jason. You got to
safe word.
Yeah, we'll use pineapple. Pineapple.
Tippy toe, a lemon drop. Seinfeld. You got to go to the Seinfeld stuff. Awesome, man. Well, we definitely appreciate you on the show. It's been a while since we've done it, so it's getting the band back together, which is always good. Me and Chad love to have people on and, like I said, connect with guys like you that are looking to make a difference out in the world, man. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Appreciate your time today.
Thank you. All right. We'll see you on the next one.